It's a Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time for Jonathan Lindsey. Thank you so much for that. And he wanted me to do a commentary on the 1986 film The Fly. Now let's get to it. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. Again, this is a paid request. Thanks to him. Thank you so much for that. I'm pretty behind on requests. I'm trying to get them done as much as I can by the end of March. Brooks Films presents, for syncing purposes, saying that, a David Cronenberg film. Yeah, Mel Brooks produced this, which I didn't know for a while. I mean, the Brooks films made sense, but there's a lot of people named Brooks, so... But yeah, David Cronenberg, I would say this is my favorite film Cronenberg has directed. Number one, I really enjoy the cast. Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis. I thought they had a really good love story. I think at the time they were a couple. So what they felt in real life was definitely illuminated on the screen. It has some excellent special effects with that body horror element that Cronenberg was famous for. Howard Shore, he does a capable job on the score. He worked with Cronenberg quite a few times. I believe he did the score for Dogma, the Kevin Smith film. I could be wrong, but I thought he did. Of course, this is a remake of the film from the 50s, which I barely remember. I know Vincent Price was in it, and I know it was the guy's head got on the fly, and then the fly's head got on the full-grown guy, like head switched. The head switched. And the help me, help me. And I think the woman was charged with murder, and they didn't believe her story. And then, like, Vincent Price, someone else saw it, and they were able, I guess, to help her get out of jail. Jeff Goldblum, of course, he would go on to do Jurassic Park. He would go on to do Independence Day. He would go on to do quite a few stuff. And then Gina Davis, she would go on to be in Beetlejuice. Let's see. The Long Kiss Goodnight, Cutthroat Island. And of course, I mean, David Cronenberg, he'd have done films like Videodrome, Scanners. This was definitely his biggest hit, though. And I guess some would say is more of a studio film. I like some of Cronenberg's other stuff. I liked The History of Violence. I liked Videodrome. Naked Lunch I did like, although I was confused by it. Maybe that's another reason. Like, I can appreciate Cronenberg's weirder tendencies in movies, but this is definitely, I would say, one of his more straightforward films. Nowadays, he doesn't really do horror. I guess he just lost interest in the subject matter. Because now he wants to do films like he did Eastern Promises. He did other films similar to that nature. Again, I guess horror just isn't his cup of tea anymore. His son has done some stuff. His son did a film. I forgot what it's called. I reviewed it. I remember now minding it. I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's the son of David Cronenberg who did it. I forgot what the hell it was called, though. Possessor? Uncut? I think that was what it was called. I remember not minding that film. But yeah, this was a busy summer in 1986. Just 20th Century Fox alone, they had Big Trouble in Little China, which sadly flopped, but great movie. You had Aliens. You had this movie. I mean, that alone amongst all the other... Like, 1986, I consider one of my favorite years in terms of movies. Because I look at 1986 and I go, well... Sylvester Stallone came out with Cobra, one of my favorite films of his. Aliens is one of my favorite films of all time. A lot of people don't like this film, but I believe Maximum Overdrive came out in 86. I'm a sucker for that movie. You had Jumping Jack Flash, which is my favorite Whoopi Goldberg film. You had Big Trouble in Little China, which I love, one of my favorite John Carpenter films. You had The Golden Child, which is my favorite Eddie Murphy film. I want to say Crocodile Dundee came out 86, and I loved that movie. Just I looked at the list, like Star Trek 4, that's my favorite Star Trek film. Like 86 for me is a great year for flicks. And you don't get those great years nowadays in terms of movies. Yeah, there are some decent movies that come out, but not like it was back then. Here showing her the telepods with that little like Jeff Goldblum nervous tick to a lot of his performances. Kind of makes him, so to speak. Those old school computers. Nowadays it'd just be like all that big contraption would be just a laptop. Nowadays if they did just be a laptop computer. Probably like a USB cord connected to the telepods. Something personal you could use. Is this a way to ask her panties? To take them off for you in front of them? Is that like a pickup line? Could just said up front, do you have a pair of panties? We're gonna teleport them. Gonna teleport them from you or to my ditch. I was gonna say, wait, is it her panties? Oh no, okay, it's her pantyhose. I know I haven't seen the film in a while, but when she's doing, I'm like, was I was just bullshitting about your panties, lady, but no, it's her pantyhose. It's been a while since I've seen this. I do remember enjoying it though, but I mean, it's not like I watch this every year. Only because there's just so many movies. There's so many movies, so little time. But the last time I might have seen this is, I think one time I did a list. Might have been like 69 favorite horror films. Picked 60. Oh, yeah, funny, 69. And most of those videos are gone, sadly. Which I guess is fine because that list would be updated anyway. But it's hard to do like a top list of just you like these films, but which do you like more? Well, how do I feel this day might be different from how I feel next week. You still like these two films, but which gets the edge? I feel this way because I haven't seen this in a while. Oh, I feel this way. It's hard to do. Old school effects, which even like I like the way they did electricity back then. Usually they do it animation. Well, like they painted in or something of that nature. It just always looked better to me. It looked cooler, looked more neat. Of course, with the way films are back then, I just like how they look in general. Because there's no fucking filters. I reviewed the documentary called Side by Side where it was about digital versus actual film. And one of the things I didn't talk about as much in that review is now that things go digital, you also get into the colorist and other people that can really mess around with the colors, sometimes even without the cinematographers say. As long as the director likes it, it's fine and dandy. But the fact you have to do all that, it makes films look a bit more fake. There might be more HD, but a lot of times it makes them look more fake. While this is natural because it's all done by, if you want to look a certain way, you do it with lighting. Or you do it with lighting and as much as you can on camera. And you can't get more real than real. course, the telepod worked. Old school tape recorder. There's a device you had to put a tape in there, cassette tape, to record on. And I guess I should mention this is one of those 80s remakes that it didn't suck. I mean, the Blob remake from 1988, classic movie. John Carpenter's The Thing, which some deem not really a remake because it's more on the original story, Who Goes There. But a lot of people still call it a remake, so I'll call it that too. That's a great movie with John Carpenter directing. Even get into the 90s, I enjoyed Night of the Living Dead from 1990. I enjoyed the House on Haunted Hill remake, 1999. And not all of them worked. Psycho remake, for example. The Haunting remake. So pretty much he realized he fucked up. He told a journalist like the biggest science discovery known to mankind. But even though the guy said it, I guess doesn't really have proof. I just to the guys like, well, this is all technical jargon, but where's the actual proof? Again, those old school cassettes. I will say that was a nice upgrade from VHS tapes to DVD. Just one thing I don't miss about, I know that it's a cassette tape audio, but I'm just saying, in reference, in comparison, cassette tape, VHS tape, the whole rewinding thing, even like an actual, when you're on the Walkman, I hated the rewinding bit. Just how much time you gotta rewind it, especially when it's multiple songs. I imagine you have a cassette tape and there's like 4 songs. Oh, you really like this song. Shit. It's, yeah, I gotta go 2 more forward. So I got fast forward. Is that it? Nope, shit. Fast forward again. Is that it? Not again. Oh shit, I went too far. Let me rewind. Oh shit, it's the last piece of the previous song. I'll let it play out. At least with CD, and now you don't even have that. Just MP3s. I'd say with like videotape, I didn't. There's a lot of elements of VHS I miss, like like you watch an old VHS tape and they show the trailers. They don't really do well. Once in a while they have it, but not too much. Although nowadays they don't really. Well, that's not true. Some of them do have trailers before it, and sometimes you can't skip it. I'm just going. Let me get back to the movie, okay? Cheeseburger. Try to see if they said what kind of. I mean, is this place like a? There's Pepsi in the background. Is that a proud sponsor of The Fly? If you don't want to have your skin fall off and your ear dilapidate, go drink a Pepsi. Drink a Pepis. Peepus. Honor the code of red, white, and blue. Pepsi, the official sponsor of The Fly. Fly to your local McDonald's or Burger King to get a Pepis. That's a big fucking burger, though. It's a good deal. You don't eat the burger, you just don't pit the toppings. But that's the thing, like when they're making a movie and they gotta do the whole food thing, it's one of those, if you screw up, I'm supposing they have another burger just because of continuity. Or maybe it's like, okay, I'm guessing. I like, okay, is this a real fast food place or is this something they made up for it? Also, like, you have these extras, like this guy in the background near the Pepsi machine. Like, what's he talking about? He's talking about, hey, you see this fucking guy there and back there? You ever see when Transylvania seats 5,000? They were both in Transylvania seats 5,000, actually. Davis was the vampire, but, there's more to it. She wasn't technically a vampire. And then Jeff Goldblum was one of the two reporters, along with Ed Begley Jr., to go over the Transylvania. But yeah, Transylvania 65,000. That might have been the first thing I saw him in. Jeff Goldblum was Transylvania 65,000. You had Michael Richards. You had some other recognizable faces in there. What an asshole. I'm just going to come in and use your fucking shower. That's what you get. Fucking dickhead. Of course, this does showcase they had a relationship in the past. He obviously still likes her. Her probably not so much to him. Of course, he would appear in The Fly too. Much more disheveled. Much more... I don't know if I want to say depressed individual, but definitely not as kept together as he is in this. But the thing with the 1980s is such a big renaissance for horror movies. Horror movies in general, no matter if it's slasher, creature feature, anything in between. Because you saw the beginning of that in the 70s, but the advancement of special effects, the advancement of... Because it was a decade of excess, people wanted to see more. Or they wanted to see more bigger action or more bigger spills or more bigger crazier special effects, or how far can you push the effects, what more can we do in advancement of these practical effects to make it look, quote, more real, more crazy, more insane, more innovative. Which I guess how they do that nowadays is with CGI, which, I'm sorry, for me, I guess I'm just not as impressed with that compared to this stuff. That's not to say I hate every film with CGI. That's far from it, but it's just personal preference. In these old school like readouts, like how color coded and coordinated they are. Make sure that one's blue and make sure that one's like a little bit of yellow, orange. Oh yeah, that fucked up. Fucked up real bad. Yeah, it's like a really mess of a creation because of it. Yeah. Pretty much turned inside out, really. Like, that's a pretty nasty, gory, decent effect. That 80s hair, too. I'm jealous of it. Fuck is what I'm thinking. I think, fuck. Fuck this, fuck that, fuck this machine, fuck you for not working. Telepod looks like a fucking butt plug I want to shove up my ass. That's what I'm thinking. Fuck your fucking VHS camera so big you could kill someone with it. I say fuck, fist fuck. That's a good point. Computers are dumb. They only know what you tell them. That's a good point. I don't want to talk. I just want to fuck. That's what else I'm thinking. That's a you, Gina Davis. And that hair that looks like you've been electrocuted. Zzz, yeah. Jeff Goldblum, you can at least take off your fucking tie. You don't need your tie unless you don't think you're gonna strangle yourself later. What's up with this fucking tie business? Yeah, the same type of clothes. You have the same type of clothes. That way you don't waste time on picking what to wear. Interesting idea. But and this is all development of the backstory, not backstory, but the love story between these two characters. It does take its time to do that in a pretty decent manner. Well, they definitely had some fun. They're still having some fun. There you go. They definitely had personal experience with this, being a couple and all. I think they had Jeff Goldblum, and then like, hey, how about my girlfriend? They're like, oh, brother. But hey, yeah, she's actually a pretty good actress. What the hell? How the hell would you not... You would think that you would feel that pretty... I mean, you would think you would feel that instantaneously, a damn microchip stuck into your back like that. I mean, I know you're having fun with the Humpty Hump, but microchip stuck that far in your back to leave... I mean, then you would think it, experiment, okay. I was going to show it gets heated up. Or something like that. Sorry, I need to stop doing that with not saying anything. I don't want to waste some perfectly good steaks, man. Oh, they don't eat it this time. Yeah, at least they didn't waste something. Synthetic. So in other words, it thinks this is what a steak is, doesn't know truly what a steak is. I guess I could look up like trivia on it, but I didn't think of doing that. I'm trying to remember if they stated what he does for a living to afford all this shit. Like, this is a pretty big fucking place. It's a pretty damn big like warehouse. Like all this computer stuff. Like, did he have a rich family? Does he do something other business in order to get all the money to afford all this? And I don't know. Like, I mean, I guess maybe he's living there for free and no one knows it yet. Maybe it's like a warehouse no one paid attention to. And this guy's a fucking stalker. Particle? That's your fucking license plate? Really? Particle? Particle Accelerator? Fucking stalker, man. She don't want nothing to do with you. Take the hint. Take the foul ball. Damn, that guy's short. Guy's like a foot shorter than John gets. Oh, that's like the crazy eyes. Hello there. I'm going to rape you now. That's the rape eyes giving her. Maybe because he's got like bags underneath or something. Like, hey, I'm going to... Yeah, his cat's better than yours. Pipsqueak. Minnie Mouse. Step on his face. Step on his fucking fingers. That's why we're done. We're over finito. Get the fuck out of Dodge. And fix your teeth. Yeah, just a baboon. He just got his fingers. Like, please don't let me die. I don't want to fucking die. There's that smoke. I wonder if it's that kind of smoke that they had to stop doing because it would get people sick. Or I wonder if it's like dry ice or something. No, it can't be dry ice. The baboon has to go through it. Obviously, it's got to be some kind of safe type of smoke so the baboon doesn't get hurt. But yeah, I do wish teleportation was a real thing. I mean, just how awesome that would be, the idea of teleportation. Like, you could be in your home. Just think about it, that's like the one reason we leave home nowadays. Like, that should really be the next thing people higher ups think about, technological wise, is teleportation. Just think about how much that would save. Think about how much that would save in, say, Well, there's a lot of implications to how that would all work out. Like if you don't teleport to a store, they don't have just an insane amount of teleporters at a store. How do you pop up so you don't pop up in the middle of someone else's teleportation? You're both in the same pod and you both. Again, there's a lot of questions to be asked, but just the idea of being able to be, I'm gonna go to the store. It's storming out. It's raining out. It's snowing out. Zzz. Oh, you don't have to worry about planes. You don't have to worry about vehicles. That would definitely cut down on pollution on the planet. And just make things so much easier and so much more manageable. Your editor. Spicy eggplant. Ew. Oh, that's another thing. This whole... I keep mentioning this so many times because there was this thing for a while that, oh, there's never been any strong females until nowadays. I'm like, you haven't seen a fucking movie from the 80s, apparently. Even this one, Gina Davis is not a weak-willed woman. But I mean, she's a strong-willed individual. She stands up to what's going on. She has one of the great lines, be afraid. Be very afraid. Was that the first time used in this movie? Because that's something you would hear all the time. And I'm like, is this the one that started it? Be afraid. Be very afraid. Because that's definitely a big point of the trailer, a line used in the trailer, and it's a great moment. She delivered it very well. I know there are some deleted scenes, which I can understand why they would cut out, honestly. And so, no, this is not one of those, I want to see an extended cut. No, they were deleted for a reason. There's a bit where Seth, as he's being slowly turned into this thing, he this other creature, and it just seemed in a weird way to lose sympathy with our lead and what he's going through. Because even though this creature is malformed, it's one of those principles. Don't hit the dog. Don't hurt the kitty. If you want us to still like you. This also altered endings. Like, oh, she got back with that fucking guy. And depending which one you see, there's this one where she's worried about her pregnancy and she dreams of like a butterfly baby thing, which is very weird. I get the concept he was going with in that ending, but just very weird, and I think more people would have laughed at it, but what the fuck is this? I mean, it's an interesting concept on its own. Damn, even the baboon guy worried about fucking flies. Baboon's like, get the fuck away from me. Or, I know how that is. Thankfully, there's no flies in here now. Otherwise, it would bother the shit out of me. Sometimes I would see my friend Michael, the choice voice, play a video game. And some of the funniest bits is that there'd be some fucking flies. Like, get the fuck away from me, fly. Get the fuck away. This fly want to die. I just... But, I mean, it's a nice they established that fly, because that's the fly that's in this thing. So they did a nice job. You think, okay, it's a fly. Why do they have this bit with the fly, Bob, and the baboon? Oh, it is the fly that's going to fuck everything up. It just takes one little thing to make it that. And it's a tragic story because he's not a bad guy. Not in the slightest. He's not a bad guy. He's not a mean guy. This is one little thing he didn't notice, and now he's on this journey to his fate. It's not like you say, oh, he deserves it. No, he didn't deserve it. It's just one of those tragic things that happen. I guess sort of a difference to the original movie, you go, well, wait a minute, he looks fine. He definitely worked out a lot before making this film. I forgot he said that. Is alive or is it Memorex? People might not even know what the fuck that means, but that's a reference to an old TV commercial for Memorex, which you would listen to, and like a cassette you would tape. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You just look up Memorex on YouTube. Usually the commercial is a guy sitting, and then there's a TV's like blasting him back. I always think of the Stay Tuned, the film with John Ritter, the parody where the guy's doing that, and then his head fucking blows off. That's a funny movie, Stay Tuned. I would say that's my favorite John Ritter film. But yeah, this as things start to change for him, there's a lot of parables you could look into. I mean, the obvious one is disease. Is that you get a disease and here's a loved one you enjoy slowly upon slowly being consumed by this disease. And there's really nothing you can do about it. And some people put in, the AIDS epidemic at the time. Which that's AIDS is not really something people talk about nowadays. Like, you don't hear anyone reference AIDS, HIV. I guess because there's things like PrEP and all this other stuff to help. But in AIDS and HIV, it's just not something that's brought up anymore. At least compared to it was in the 80s and 90s. Not too bad with the blue lighting as well. I guess I could look real quick on what the trivia says. Now that'll slow things down. Let's see. Wait for it to do something. Yeah, if you went through a teleportation, I'd be like, you know what? Can we get go to a doctor first, and check real quick to see, I don't know, if you're A-okay. Like, check with a doctor. Get a health checkup first. Did it ever establish if he did a health checkup, like went to a doctor, just to make sure he's A-okay? I mean, I wouldn't have, if a lady went through a teleport, I would want, I don't know, some kind of fucking, I want to make sure first. Before anything else. That's just me though, I guess. let's see. Here we go. In a 1987 interview, Vincent Price revealed that when this remake was released, Jeff Goldblum wrote a letter saying, "I hope you liked it as much as I liked yours." Vincent Price was touched by the letter. He composed a reply and went to see the film, which he described as wonderful right up to a certain point. It went a little too far. I don't know what point he's talking about. Wonderful right up to a certain point. What would he mean? It went too far. That's the thing, is that older actors at the time, they just were not into the new era of special effects and a bit more blood, a bit more gore. So I don't know if maybe the arm wrestling moment, maybe something else. I don't know. Maybe, or this is a showcasing more of his balance and strength being improved, and definitely a bit more to it. Definitely balance, strength. And Gina Davis like, what the fuck? That's pretty impressive though, to do that. Pretty damn impressive. But yeah, this is probably the best shape Jeff's been in his life. He sees the bar here, and again, showcases to the audience certain changes, strength. I bet you that's the thing a lot of people say about bugs, about how they could be like strength 10 times, or I forget what the exact number is, but being exponentially stronger compared to their size. That's why, you know, like ants picking up like big, pretty big things that's so much bigger than them. Yeah, there was a cat monkey scene where Brundlefly fuses a cat and the remaining baboon and then beats it to death with a lead pipe. Was cut following a Toronto screening. Audience felt there was no turning back for Seth, and they lost all sympathy for his plight. If you beat an animal to death, your audience is not going to be interested in your problems anymore. Yeah, that's true. I should mention, yeah, Chris Wallace and his group did the special effects, and I believe won an Oscar for this, for Best Makeup. And of course, he would go on to direct The Fly 2. Which The Fly 2 I don't mind. The Fly 2 is pretty decent as a monster movie. I don't think the romance works nearly as well. I don't think Eric Stoltz and Daphne Zuniga, I don't think they have as much chemistry. They definitely don't have that spark. They're alright in the film, but they just don't have... just not nearly as strong. And just doesn't work well in comparison to the love story in this. One, because you have two actors, so I'm sorry. I don't mind those two actors, but these two, I think, are better actors. And again, you've seen it once. When you see it repeated, just less special. Now, this scene here, apparently, Seth is talking endlessly, was only half scripted when production began. The remainder was written the night before the scene, and Jeff Goldblum felt he could add more to the character. I think one of the reasons for doing it like this is you think of a fly. What do you think of a fly? If you've seen it up close to the fly, it's always like being very quick and being animated, or, you know, doing... It seemed like it was always hyper. Like a fly is always hyper. It's always going fast. And I have a feeling that's part of the reason why he's talking like this, so fast, so quick, so energetic. And then though it seems like someone who's very hyper. His idea with the of a fly just seems very hyper. Could be wrong on that though. Mel Brooks did not want people to know he was a producer because he thought people would take it not seriously if they knew he was involved. That's true. I mean, with Mel Brooks, they probably would have thought it was a comedy. His face is definitely changing. You can tell his face has a little bit to him. There's a little bit showing on his face. And that wound he had earlier, there's a little bit of hairs. Again, why would you want to kiss and have sex with someone who went through Again, unless you know he got a thorough checkout at a doctor, like all this other stuff. At least for a week or two. Like, think about it. If you went for a teleport, like, can you wait a week without fucking? Just in case? Just in case. Any lasting, don't fuck the night after. David Cronenberg says the line "Be afraid, be very afraid" was invented by Mel Brooks while discussing how characters should react to the early stages of Seth Brundle's transformation. Interesting. Michael Keaton was offered the role of Seth Brundle, but he declined. I could see Michael Keaton working. I think David Cronenberg did a good job, but Michael Keaton, that would have been interesting. That would have been pretty interesting. Huh. Yeah. David Cronenberg noted on his DVD commentary that the baboons used in the film frightened him, as they are potentially dangerous, physically very strong, and very intelligent, and very wild. But due to the tall and muscular physique, the baboons behaved affectionate and deferential towards Jeff Goldblum, who had trained and worked out in preparation for the role, making the scenes with them easy to film. Huh. I don't know. I guess. Maybe, hey, maybe they just like Jeff Goldblum. Who doesn't? Let's see. Yeah, there's definitely more of a change in personality for him as well. Much more angry. Penetration beyond the veil of the flesh. That's definitely a Cronenberg piece of dialogue there. That's definitely something you would get that sentiment in a lot of his movies in this day and age. There's him changing personality-wise. And here's that great piece of music. Da, 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 da. Which you would definitely hear that in the trailer to The Fly 2. Oh, this might be leading up to the arm wrestling bit. I think this is the film. I could be wrong. I believe this was a film that someone else was going to direct, but then someone close to him passed away. It might be wrong, but I think it was this one. I could be wrong on that though. Linda Hamilton was David Cronenberg's first choice for Veronica based on her performance in The Terminator, but she turned it down. Wonder if she ever regrets that. We're getting to the... and showing more of the strength that has evolved in this character's DNA, so to speak. So Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid was used in this, was born in this. Yeah, I mean, it not only shows the strength, but it also shows that as he's becoming less... Ooh. That's still an effective special effect. Like, that's... Ooh, fuck. That still works. But yeah, what I was saying is that as he's... It's like you're seeing him change personality-wise first, and then his body will change. Like he's becoming less human emotionally first, and the body comes later, which is an interesting choice. I think usually people would swap that. Like the body starts changing, and because of that, your mind, your personality starts changing. But again, they did it a bit differently here. Maybe because we know him in this form, we've been witnessing for, I don't know, 30 some minutes in his form. Because him and Janie Davis pop in like 2 minutes in. So we're so used to his form here to really fully showcase his change. We see the same human form going through these different personality traits. Maybe that really hones in on the fact that this guy is changed. He's completely, utterly changed. And he's fully naked as if he's Tarzan. Me Tarzan, you Jane. Little fuck. Now you don't... I guess maybe... I don't know much about a fly, but is a fly very horny? Like, do flies want to fuck everything too? I don't know much shit about flies, but people can let me know. Are flies just like a horny animal that want to fuck and bang everything? Like, did he make her pregnant too? Is that where the Fly 3's gonna come in? She got pregnant from this? Like, they fucked, obviously. Did she get pregnant from this? Like, See, that's, I mean... I know they made her pregnant, but, I don't know. I didn't, in The Fly 2, I didn't like the fact they killed off Gina Davis's character. It wasn't the same actress, but they still killed her off screen. I thought that sucked. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Great line. But I was just saying, like, if obviously in this film they establish she's pregnant, but it could be like she's fine, And the other girl got pregnant and had the baby, and it's the fact that it's the, like, now that I think about it, they could have gone that way for the Fly too. They could have gone that way with the Fly too, and not fuck over her character. Like, she's pregnant, but she doesn't know how it will be, and then she works out fine. But then the other girl got pregnant and went through the same thing. So there you go. There's an out. There's an out to do the Fly too and not fuck over Gina Davis's character. But I mean, that's just me talking. I guess you could say this is the first stage of the makeup where they put like little splotches on his face. I just think Jeff Goldblum gave a wonderful performance. Like, you see, he's very sweet, he's very charming, he's very nice, and just how things are just changing with how more angry he is, more just all that stuff going on. I guess it's someone who is sick and it's like a disease. Like, they're not handling it. They think they're perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them until finally acceptance will come into play sooner or later. And obviously she cares for him, the fact she's so sad about this. She's not even upset about him, fucking someone else. She literally is worried about his safety and his health. That shows definite care and worry. Yeah, finally take a look at your face. That's not just allergies, son. Like a piece of skin, isn't it? Oh no, that's later. Or is like his teeth? Yeah. No, his fingernail, right? Oh god. I can't help it. Like, I'm a guy that bites his fingernails and shouldn't, and that just like, I don't know why those little things like, ugh. I almost want to do this just to make sure they're still on. Ah, fuck. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's all these fingernails just going and going. But sadly, with people who get sick with certain illnesses, stuff similar to that will happen where they start falling apart slowly, and they start falling apart. It gets worse and worse. Now he's understanding somewhat his predicament. Knows there's a little bit of difference. It's a little bit of difference in between. I like the idea he's got the gloves on because his fingernails. Nice little touch. Secondary element. Secondary element is not you. It's like, well, no fucking shit. There you go. There's the little fucker. Now go back to the bid picture. You would see it there. The fusion of DNA with these old school graphics. This is kind of like when you got a computer back in the day. They give you like a disc. It's almost like just a showcase all the glorious things you can see on this thing called computer. She told you, fly like, insect-like things on the back of your foot. I mean, the hair on your back. Became you. Fusion. Nope. You're fucked. There you go. Now you did it. Yeah, this is where you don't get different stages. More so. But I was going to say, co-producer Kip Ullman was the person who originally had the idea of remaking the film. He had recently landed Charles Edward Pogue as a client and suggested that he should be the one to write it. They pitched the idea to Fox, who agreed to finance it. They read the first draft. They rescinded the offer. They refused to relinquish the rights so that Ullman and Pogue could take it to another studio, and they would not finance it. Ullman ultimately found producer Stuart Cornfield, who had previously produced The Elephant Man in 1980, and therefore knew Mel Brooks. Mel Brooks agreed to allow Cornfield to use Brooks Films to produce the picture, but decided a new writer was needed. Pogue was therefore booted off the project, and Wallen Green was hired in his place. It was decided that Green's draft was even worse than Pogue, so he was fired and Pogue was rehired. Pogue was ultimately booted off the project once again, once David Cronenberg demanded to be able to rewrite the script to his own satisfaction, as a condition of coming on board to direct. Cronenberg and Pogue didn't actually meet until after the film had come out. When they spoke, Cronenberg told him apparently we made a hit movie together. This is like another stage, but it seems like you don't see this stage as much as the other ones. Which I actually like this makeup. Yeah, it seems of the stages is the one you see the least, but I mean this is because you still got the hair, all that stuff, but more defined of the features on the face. Pretty much explained her what happened. There was a fly in there. It made me and the fly. We haven't even been properly introduced. Yeah, Brundlefly. Yeah, he even says like a form of cancer. That's definitely something to sadly a lot of people have gone through, either personally or a loved one. I think that's another reason the film became a hit, that hit something home with a lot of people. And maybe for a lot of people it helped them deal with reality to be able to see it in a sci-fi form. So it's not realistic, but it's real enough that you could still be part of escapism, but still able to deal with other stuff. Ugh. And Gina Davis does a good job with, the tears and being sad and upset and freaked out, but it's not annoying, it's not irritating, it's genuine. And that's an ode to the original, the help me, please help me, but done in a much more subtle fashion. One of the many attempts to remake this was in 2003. Fox Spotlight announced they were remaking it for a summer 2006 release. It was to be written and directed by Todd Lincoln, I don't know who that is, who stated the first half would be a scene-for-scene remake, but the second half would turn more into an action horror film where Brundlefly would grow wings and go on a killing spree. He had Billy Crudup or Brad Pitt for the role of Seth Brundle, who would turn into a creature that resembled less of a human-fly hybrid and more of a literal giant fly with large red compound eyes and fully developed wings. It was in development for years, removed from Fox Spotlight's upcoming schedule in 2007. I don't know about that. I mean, number one, the scene for scene stuff just bothered me. Just reading that. I mean, I love action horror. I'm a sucker for action horror. I don't know, to turn the fly into an action horror, I mean, like a little giant fly? I don't know how you do that without it looking goofy. Like, how do you do, like, it's a giant fly? It'd probably be a lot of CGI, and at the time, CGI that would not hold up in today's age. I don't know about that. I'm kind of glad that didn't happen. Now, this scene, I'm guessing they did it the way, if you remember in Nightmare on Elm Street, when Tina goes up the wall at the beginning of the first Nightmare on Elm Street, where they build a set and they're constantly turning, and as it's constantly turning, you're going to your cues, so you're technically always on the ground, but if you set a camera a certain way, it stays in position as it's going. Well, I guess more like the camera would be doing the turning along with them, so it doesn't seem like anything's changing. But then he's like walking down, like so that like every item. Think about every item had to be tied down so nothing falls or nothing trips or anything of that sort. I mean, that's a lot of work to put into it, and like to build it like for how long? 10 seconds? 20 seconds? Yeah, and this seems like another form you don't see a whole lot of either. This form of his face, like a little bit less hair, a little bit even more on the face. So he can't digest solid foods. It hurts, so he's got to. That's where you get like the vomit acid stuff. Ugh. Let's see. Oh, that's right. The two of them did do Earth Girls Are Easy, Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis. I forgot all about that movie. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just looking for stuff. I don't want to read every single one of these. It'd be boring for people. Yeah, of course, this is showcasing that she's pregnant. Sure, people are like, no shit, we could see that. Hmm. I was trying to flick up some other information. This is mainly about a lot of technical stuff, about the effects. I'll say I have the DVD, 2 disc, pretty good extensive documentary on the film. A lot of makeup. There's David Cronenberg as the doctor, in between Gina Davis's legs. That's David Cronenberg there. And this is a nightmare sequence. Just they don't pour out this big larva thing. Pretty cool effect. I'm sure the audience is going, wait a minute, it's fucking 9 months already? Because, 9 months have gone through already? Wait, there's something up with this. Otherwise, she got pregnant and gave birth in 2 days. Of course, technically, if she was worried about this, I mean, they bring up she could just get a abortion if she's that worried about it. I mean, that does come up in conversation. Maybe that was the point of that one dream scene. I mean, the alternate ending was she's not aborting it because, well, what if it becomes this beautiful like butterfly? Like, what if it's a beautiful thing and I'm, you know, I'm getting rid of it. Yeah, this is definitely the go in with another human. Can't understand his voice anymore because he can't speak that clearly. Ugh. There goes his actual teeth. Fucking shit. Maybe let me check the wiki page. maybe it's just my eyes deceiving me, but when he saw those jars, I'm like, is one of them his dick? That, because the ear fell off. I'm like, is one of them his dick that fell off? That he put in a jar? Man, I'm just imagining things, I don't know. That's another thing. This movie had a pretty neat poster, which if I don't forget, I'll put it over here probably. It's a simple poster because it tells you the whole story. Great tagline said in the movie, "Be afraid, be very afraid." I like the green, the smoke, and it's also mysterious. It doesn't show you on the poster what it looks like. There's still a certain sense of mystery. Like you see a leg, but that's like, okay, what's the rest of it? Sorry, now I'm getting suckered into the movie. Sucked into the movie. Suckered into the movie. In a way, this is him. In a way, this is him warning her, like, you can't trust an inset. I mean, he does his inset politician thing, but I think it's also a warning to her that I don't know how I'm going to behave. I'm not really someone to trust. And he's trying to say, I'm going to change. You can't trust me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to succumb to doing in the name of my thinking. Pretty much saying that he's losing himself and he's not going to be there too long. I'll hurt you if you stay. There you go, he's warning her. Because he cares for her. Because he's losing his human ability to rationalize. And it shows that he does care for her and he does love her. Again, it's a good like love story to it. Both Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis did a great job emotionally. I think they should have gotten some awards recognition acting wise. I mean, people always talk about the effect, but it's the acting that's top notch as well. At least, I mean, yeah, definitely some awards should have been given to the acting. Pretty damn good. So looking on Wikipedia, I talked about how, they went to Mel Brooks. They're trying to find a director. The first choice was David Cronenberg, but he was working on Total Recall. Because at one point he was going to do Total Recall, but that didn't work out. So they decided on a young British director named Robert Bierman after seeing one of his short films. He was flown to LA to meet with the writer at the time, Pogue, and the film was in the very early stages of pre-production when tragedy struck. The director's family had been vacationing in South Africa, and his daughter was killed in an accident. The director boarded a plane to go with his family. Mel Brooks and Kornfeld waited for a month before approaching him about resuming work. The director told him he was unable to start working so soon. Mel Brooks told he could wait 3 months and contact him again. At the end of the 3 months, he told him that he still can't commit. Mel Brooks said he understood, freed him from his contract. So I gotta commend Mel Brooks. That's a stand-up thing to do. To actually wait the 3 months, freedom of his contract, didn't penalize him. I mean, that's a stand-up thing Mel Brooks did. Now, the original drafts. This is the original writer's draft of the film. Jeff and Barbara are a happily married couple. Jeff is a brilliant scientist, working on a teleportation machine. He's not telling his employers about it. One of those employers are displeased by this, threatens to pull his funding of the mystery project unless he's given full disclosure. Jeff is successful in teleportation. When he tries it on himself, a housefly slips in. Normal at first, he develops incredible strength, stamina, and energy. Okay, seems fairly the same among some differences. Yeah, so she was ready to get the abortion, then Seth came in and fucked everything up. That's definitely like almost like an older school horror film. You're crashing in, that you would see Dracula or someone else do that. Poe's draft seems fairly the same, but you have these other people that see a monetary gain of this teleporter. One of them takes possession of it. Jeff, who's now mostly transformed to a fly monster, learns of this, goes to the office building, and I guess turns a little bit confrontation where he fights the guy stealing his work, starts a fire in the lab where the teleport is now housed, kills the asshole by vomiting and feeding on him. He traps himself in one of the teleportation booths just as Barb arrives to watch the fire kill him and destroy the teleporter, his intent all along. She dreams, has a nightmare, wakes up at a hospital, reveals she's given birth to a healthy baby boy. I guess Cronenberg rewrote the characters and most of the dialogue. Cronenberg layered in his trademark themes of sexuality, body horror, and personal identity. I guess in the original script, the main character would have lost his ability to speak 2/3 of the way through, but Cronenberg wanted to keep that as long as possible. His increasing mania and personality changes in early stages were emphasized. Interesting. I mean, you can read on Wikipedia as well. And that's the thing, you gotta be careful with Wikipedia, because not all their shit is correct. There are people that make up shit and put it in Wikipedia. Just the easiest access to have. Yeah, it's definitely a film critics enjoyed when it came out. They're reviewed very positively. Awards. Won the Academy Award for Best Makeup. Hugo Award, nominated for Best Dramatic Presentation. Jeff Goldblum won a Saturn Award for Best Actor, and Gina Davis was nominated for a Saturn Award for Best Actress. Melting his hand. Ugh. Well, I mean, it's his left hand, so it might not be his jerk-off hand, so he might still be fine. But yeah, just turn your hand into nothing. Oh, and then his ankle as well. I forgot about that. That's right. Ugh. Well, definitely a good chunk of the film, he's been a fucking dickhead, so there's a part of you that doesn't feel the most sympathy. Although he does do an important thing to save her at the end before she gets merged and teleported again. I mean, before teleportation happens again. Real quickly, I'm looking at what it says here about The Fly 2. John gets returned. An early treatment for the sequel involved Veronica, the character played by Gina Davis, dealing with the evils of the Bartok Company. Brundle's consciousness survived within the telepod computer, and the Bartok scientists had enslaved him and were using him to develop the system for cloning purposes. Brundle becomes able to communicate with Veronica through the computer, and he eventually takes control of the complex's security systems to gruesomely attack the villains. Eventually, she frees Brundle by conspiring with him to reintegrate a non-contaminated version of his original body. Cronenberg endorsed this concept. Gina Davis was open to doing a sequel. She pulled out of The Fly 2 because her character was killed in the opening scene. I don't blame her for doing that, honestly. While Goldblum was not, although he was okay with a cameo, and this treatment reflects that. Ew. That's another good effect. His mouth pulled off. Why didn't they do that for the sequel, then? I guess I guess if you think about that concept I talked about, there's not really a fly creature in that concept. I mean, it sounds more like fucking, what was that Johnny Depp film? Transcendence? I always thought this was a cool look. Some people make fun of the look of this, but I always thought it looked cool with the big eyes. I always thought it looked really neat. Especially you would see a lot in horror magazines at the time. And you notice they don't really show much of his face. I guess even they thought, but I think that looks pretty damn cool. Pretty damn neat. But I actually don't mind. I guess I don't mind that because, in a way, it kind of creates a possible happy ending for these characters. But I'm a sucker for that, but, a lot of people are not. I mean, if you want to incorporate, like, they do another test, and... But it'd be like, what, do they do another test and another fly went into it and it fucked up again? Okay, but that girl gives birth, and she gives birth to a monster, a creature, a fly, and then she wants to help it, and then finds out the whole thing that the computer is Brundle, and that's his son, and that woman died in childbirth, so it's her and Jeff Goldblum and the computer trying to get their son that also turns into this monster, And you can still incorporate, like, the Fly is killing people to protect his mom, Gina Davis, instead of the designated girlfriend. And maybe the two of them, I don't know. I mean, despite all that happened, he does, in essence, becomes the hero. Which is weird because he's not really the most likable guy, but it's interesting. Despite despite that stuff, he does do the right thing at the end. John gets his character. But I'm reading that, like, you could take that concept for the Fly too, and I didn't add in the one girl, I forget her name, from the bar. She gives birth. It becomes, like the Eric Stoltz type of character, raised by Bartok Industries. Meanwhile, Gina Davis is finding this out, trying to look into it. They won't let her in. Of course, would that mean you'd have to, if it's a teenager, would you have to age up Gina Davis's makeup to make her appear older? I don't know. It's the concept I have to work out. But I like the Fly too, but I just see there's more that you could work into it. See, I think this is what really makes you feel is that it makes the choice to end it. I thought that was a very crucial moment to have where, it picks it up and knows what she needs to do. And in essence, this was the right decision to end it because, boom, the monster is dead, the movie's over, the smoke, the music, the heartache, and the movie's over. And you're kind of left on that emotional high. It doesn't get dissipated. Because if you have another scene, 3 scenes, 5 scenes, that emotional high could dissipate, and then we're going, then you're like, okay. But see now, and then with this music, really good music by Howard Shore, left on this emotional high, and you're leaving the theater, or even now, like, man, that fucking sucks. You get that talk, you get that conversation when you come out of the movie theater. Oh shit, man. That's what some filmmakers don't realize. It's like Rocky. Same thing with Rocky. I love you too. They hug, freeze frame, boom, movie over. You end it on a high note. You end it on the emotional peak. Imagine that. You're going up, you end it on the emotional peak before it dwindles. Because why not end it here and don't end it when it gets to here? You know what I mean? So, apparently the 2015 IDW Publishing did a 5-issue comic book miniseries called The Fly Outbreak, which is a direct sequel to The Fly 2. It features the character Martin. Huh. In the 1990s, Gina Davis was reportedly involved with an alternate sequel to The Fly, directed by her then-husband Rennie Harlan, Tao Flies. I mean, it is aliens, flies. Story where Veronica gives birth to twin boys and herself survives the ordeal. Maybe I'd be curious. David Cronenberg had written not a remake, but rather a sort of sequel, and would film it if Fox gave the project the go-ahead. Huh. I mean, there's a lot more. It's on Wikipedia. You can read more into it. Huh. Anyway, The Fly is a classic. I mean, The Fly, it works because it has a great love story to it. The characters work very well amidst the dire circumstances happening. Jeff Goldblum, Gina Davis give wonderful, emotionally charged performances. Howard Shore's score definitely gives a nice, powerful moment, especially in the end there. The effects by Chris Walas and his group are top notch. And like I say, it has that good emotional core that does make you think of a loved one going through horrible disease and cancer. And you have some ooh shit moments like the arm breaking scene, even those like the fingernails falling off. Uh, and it's not a long film; it's only 90 some minutes long. So it's a good sequel, good creature feature flick, good love story, good all around. So thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye bye.